Decentralization is the key to freeing humanity from governments and their money printing machine. In this way, cryptocurrencies can be the new global revolution. Every cryptocurrency wants to contribute to this revolution in some way. But in this channel, we look at one of the most special ones, named XRP. Hi guys, welcome back to Crypto Marker. We are here with the hottest economic, financial, and of course cryptocurrency, especially XRP news. British consumer price inflation fell to 10.1% in March from February's 10.4%. Figures from the Office for National Statistics showed. Stubbornly high prices continue to weigh on British consumers, especially in the food sector. The price of food in the UK rose at the fastest pace in 45 years last month, keeping inflation above 10% for a seventh straight month amid a cost of living crisis that has fueled a wave of strikes by government workers. The British government and Bank of England are struggling to prevent price increases triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine from becoming embedded in the economy. While the UK's inflation rate has remained above 10% for 8 of the past 9 months, inflation slowed to 5% in the US and 6.9% in the countries sharing the euro last month. The point is that the cost of living in Britain was much higher than other European countries. I'm gonna tell you that this 10.1% is the only increase in prices over the last 12 months, which is higher than 7% they were up by the same point last year. Goldman Sachs changes call on European Central Bank rate hikes as banking crisis subsides. Goldman Sachs now points to a terminal rate of 3.75% for the European Central Bank. The ECB's main rate has been at 3% since its meeting in March. Olli Rehn, a member of the ECB, said last week that inflation is still by far too high. Goldman Sachs changed its expectations for European Central Bank policy, arguing that recent data, comments from board members, and fewer concerns over the banking sector has allowed for further hawkish action. The investment bank had lowered its expectations for the ECB's terminal policy rate at 3.5% in the wake of the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank earlier this year. The event sparked concerns that central banks were moving at too fast a pace and needed to take a break from increasing rates. However, banking tensions have receded in recent weeks as the risk of an outright US banking crisis has declined sharply and European bank stock funding measures have retraced a large proportion of the large drop in early March, Goldman Sachs analyst said in a research note Monday. Interesting news. It will be interesting to see how markets respond to this revised forecast. China's economy beats expectations to grow 4.5% in quarter one, entering fast lane of full-fledged economic recovery. The Chinese economy started off the year with better than expected 4.5% year-on-year growth in the first quarter, laying a solid foundation for the full-year economic rebound in 2023 while providing stronger impetus for global economic recovery amid a volatile international environment. China's GDP in the first 3 months reached 28.5 trillion yuan, up 4.5% year-on-year, or an increase of 2.2% compared with the fourth quarter of 2022, according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Tuesday. Well, if this statistic is correct, let me say that China's growth will hit the US by the end of this year, contrary to the opinion of everyone who thinks that this isolation will destroy China. However, we should never trust self-reported numbers, especially from China. SEC Chair Gensler gets grilled by House Financial Services Committee Republicans. In a heated hearing on April 18th, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler clashed with Republicans over digital asset regulation, highlighting the urgent need for clear crypto rules. On April 18, 2023, Gensler testified before the House Financial Services Committee's oversight of the Securities and Exchange Commission hearing. The hearing showcased the growing tensions between the SEC and congressional Republicans, particularly regarding the regulation of digital assets and the need for clear rules to foster innovation and protect investors in the crypto market. Before the hearing, Republicans on the committee, led by Chairman Patrick McHenry, sent a letter to Gensler criticizing the SEC's approach to digital asset regulation. The Republicans accused the SEC of forcing digital asset trading platforms to register under the National Securities Exchange framework, which they argued was an ill-fitting framework for digital assets. The letter emphasized the importance of developing clear rules for digital assets to foster innovation and protect investors, while criticizing the SEC's current approach as harmful to the digital asset ecosystem, consumers, and the economy. Well, guys, this really is my favorite show of 2023. Gary Gensler says he's never owned crypto, not even Bitcoin. I'd like to say I don't believe it. It's surely a barefaced lie since he taught on it, but I believe he is the one who alone causes the SEC not to exist. Mark my words. These are the key takeaways for Ripple and XRP from the Gensler hearing. In this hearing, Davidson asked the most important question of the day for the XRP community: whether he believes XRP is a security. Interestingly, Gensler refused to give a yes or no answer. Instead, the SEC chief said that the question of whether XRP is a security is currently in court and that there are active discussions on the issue. We are in court and there are active discussion and litigation on that matter, Gensler responded. Certainly, a strong case for Ripple's fair notice defense was made by McHenry when he pestered the SEC chairman with numerous follow-up questions to get him to make a classification of Ethereum as a security or commodity. The fair notice defense states that no one should be forced to speculate on the meaning of laws. Well, Gary didn't answer whether Ethereum is a security or not because it hurts them in the lawsuit against Ripple. I hope Judge Torres watched it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and watch our other videos to know more about XRP, Ripple, and all world's economic news.